That's a wrap. 818. When in the hell is Disney going to fix Disneyland's Tomorrowland? And thanks for the always the good feedback. Well, thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. When are they going to fix it? It doesn't seem like anytime soon. It doesn't seem like anytime soon, because I think we're going to get that Avengers ticket in DCA, because DCA needs it. DCA needs stuff. It absolutely does. And we're probably going to get the Avatar, whatever the Avatar thing is. Then, I think it's at least 7, 8 years away, maybe
I'm
more.
going to double down on it. I think it's going to be in the 2030s before they even start touching Tomorrowland.
You might not be wrong on that, George. It might be a decade away. I mean, that's what I'm thinking, like 7, 8 years.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna touch other stuff. The problem with Tomorrowland is that a lot of the stuff in Tomorrowland is still very popular. That's the problem. You have a very popular Space Mountain, Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters, Star Tours, all this stuff is still very popular. So to shut all
that down, that's why they have to have something to kind of hold it there, so to speak, so that's where I thought that, Avatar would have been a great addition to Disneyland Park, because as you had mentioned, OG, between Fantasyland and Tomorrowland or what have you, or even if they expand Fantasyland, they're going to have to do something to kind of hold off, because you're closing down an entire... It's one thing of how they closed down Critter Country, so to speak, because of Splash Mountain, but it's still open for Winnie the Pooh and what have you. But when you close down Tomorrowland, you're taking a big chunk of things that are still very well popular that is a people eater.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, there's not much incentive to do a Tomorrowland, because like everything in there is kind of chugging along and it's popular. Yeah. So, like we said, Tomorrowland's biggest issue is most of the issue with Tomorrowland is aesthetics. Is really what it is, because the stuff in the land is doing just fine. So Disney doesn't see much. There's no fire under Disney's ass to get to that right away. So you're gonna see Pandora, you're gonna see the Avengers ticket, things like that way before Tomorrowland. And I will say this, might be controversial, but I think DCA needs a lot of work. Not a lot of work, I shouldn't say that, but DCA needs like 1 or even 2 big rides, like next. You know what I'm saying? Like Disneyland has gotten so much with Star Wars Galaxy's Edge and the Runaway Railway. I think it's DCA's turn, and DCA needs to play a little bit of catch up here. So I would be fine with holding off on Tomorrowland until DCA gets a little bit of love first, because DCA needs it way more than Disneyland.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great question. CSRS, Mice Chat. By the way, shout out to Mice Chat. They do phenomenal work over there. Big fan of Dusty. Yes. Awesome guy. And actually Andy Castro, shout out to him too, with his Dateline Disney updates. They do a lot of great work over there. So yeah, shout out to Mice Chat for sure. But Mice Chat here says, or CSRS here says that Mice Chat sources seem to believe that the Avatar land for Disneyland Resort is destined for a DC replacing Hollywoodland. Why do you think they are choosing that area instead of the Symbol Lot? That's the rumor. And Mice Chat does have good sources. I think that, I don't know, man. I think it's a bad idea. I think
that's I mean, even if the sources are true or very much relevant,
or accurate,
I just can't see walking down Buena Vista Street, turning to my left, and then there's Pandora. Like, at least in Animal Kingdom, when it's cohesive with the nature, with the organic, feeling of like a different outside planet of the mythological term, where that you still have to cross over a bridge into the park of Animal Kingdom, and you still feel kind of cut off in Pandora. Where in DCA, if you put it there, as I said, it's wide open. So it's like as soon as you walk into Buena Vista Street and you're right by Carthay Circle, and then you're going to see Pandora. I don't see the correlation to that.
It's weird. There's a lot of issues with that. Like, number one, it doesn't really make sense in California. And I'm not one of these like theme. I don't get like all Karen about like the theming stuff, right? A lot of people are like, oh, what does Cars Land have to do with DCA? It's Route 66. It has a lot to do with DCA. Oh, what's Pixar Pier? It's a pier. It's California. It makes sense. Like I'm pretty loose and pretty forgiving when it comes to theme. But Pandora, I don't know how you tie that into California Adventure. I mean, unless they change the theme, which is maybe possible, I don't know. That's a stretch for me. And the other thing too is I am a big red car trolley guy. You can't have the red car trolley go through Pandora. That makes
No.
sense. Like,
And honestly, it took them like forever and a day to bring them back. So to bring them back just to remove them,
yeah.
it's, I don't know,
If
not a good call.
if you have to shoehorn Avatar into DCA, put it in the symbol lot, give it, because symbol lot is like big enough definitely to fit a Pandora. You can definitely fit a Pandora there with some room to spare even, from what I understand. So I would do it. And even if it's not the exact, I mean, obviously, even if it's not the exact same size or whatever, if you have to scale it down even, that's fine. But you can do more over there. I just don't know how you tie that to the California theme, unless it's like some sort of like space facility in California, and like you enter this.
That's where I feel like that they kind of dropped the ball with Avengers Campus. Like, I know like why they did it. It fits well. Like you say, what is it? The Silicon Valley type
Right.
of,
Like tech campus, like
tech
Google campus.
But at the end of the day, that's exactly what it looks like when I walk into Avengers Campus. The theme is just for me. Like, it's nothing special. It's nothing that blows my mind. Quite frankly, I only walk through Avengers Campus as a walkthrough just to get from one side of the park to the other. I don't really hang around in there unless I am going on Web Slingers, which is very far in between. And if I'm like right next to where if I'm going on Mission Breakout, because I'll go on Mission Breakout any day before Web Slingers.
Yeah. No, I have to part ways with you on that one.
Yeah,
But just because I'm not into like Mission Breakout is a great attraction for DCA. I think it was a smart retheme. Joe Rohde crushed it. Super popular. It's just not for me. It's just way too crazy, dude. It doesn't stop. Like the minute you get in that thing, it's like just nonstop. You know,
nonstop. Yeah.
And I didn't feel that way though with Tower of Terror. Like I did Tower of Terror all the time. I was fine.
And I still would like for you to try Walt Disney World's Tower of Terror. I know that you couldn't this last time because of your head injury and everything, but I think it would probably do you much better because it's a slower amp up to that final it's thrill.
It's paced out better. Like the pacing with Mission Breakout is it's like a sugar rush. It's just too much at once, you know?
Yeah,
it's crazy. CSRS here says, once Disneyland Forward is approved, how long do you think it'll be before we see groundbreaking on the revived Eastern Gateway and rerouting the monorail beam, which ties into if Avatar is indeed replacing Hollywoodland? What could we expect this troubled remaining area of DCA 1.0 to go down for construction work to begin on Avatar? If that is the plan, and my chat's correct, go ahead.
Sorry, really quick, OG. CSRS, I just have to commend you on to the fact that you said once Disneyland Forward gets greenlit, not if. So right on.
Exactly.
So go ahead, OG. I apologize.
So it seems like I mean that the Avatar stuff is probably a priority right now because Avatar is making $1 bajillion in the theaters. Marvel isn't right now, you know. So I think they're fast tracking the Avatar stuff. So I think that if or when Disneyland Forward gets approved, and if it's going into this Hollywoodland area, I think you'll see it within a year or two. They'll probably make the announcement about what it's going to be and all that within a year or two. They'll start breaking ground on all that stuff. I think the reason why, or at least part of the reason why, the details on the Avatar experience is so vague is because they are waiting for Disneyland Forward to know what they're going to do. They have to know what they're playing with, like what's on the chessboard, before they can really plan and map it out. You know what I'm saying? And so if Disneyland Forward gets knocked down and the city doesn't approve it, well, that changes the equation on where you put Pandora, or potentially, you know? So they're waiting for that. And once they get that, then they can start to decide on where it's going to be. So, but if it goes in Hollywoodland, like my chat's reporting, a rumor, you know, that it's going to go over there, within a year or so, I think they'll start working on that. I think they really want to get Avatar in there. Number one, because it's making $1 bajillion at the box office, and number two, Bob Iger's legacy is tied to buying Fox for $70 billion. He needs to justify that price tag to save his legacy. What do you do to do that? You build more Fox stuff in the parks, and you can point to that as part of the acquisition and part of the success of buying Fox. So, yeah, a lot going on there. Tayo here says, have you ever done a bar crawl, either on the Skyliner or monorail? The Skyliner in particular has some great stops for it. Well, I didn't do a bar crawl, but George got really messed up at the Polynesian and walked onto the monorail drunk, if that counts.
I did that. That was fun. Yeah. To my credit, though, I didn't know like how drunk I was gonna get because I had 2 beers.
Yeah, you did.
I had a I had a specialty drink, and then what did it was that drink that when OG wanted that Polynesian souvenir cup.
Yeah,
right there. That thing.
Yeah.
That thing costed me because it was like because it came with this like real exotic drink, and he said, you know what? He's like, I told him, I said, you're gonna get the souvenir cup, you know. If you're going to get the drink, don't just like waste it. I'll drink it. And that thing like was a concoction, man. I tell you what, it was like, I ended up looking like that thing after I had that drink.
Oh, man.
Trader Sam's is one of the it's one of the rare places in Disney World where you can get mixed drinks that isn't just pure sugar. Because there's so many. I mean, you go to Epcot, right? You go get your mixed drinks at Epcot, and you do your drink around the world, and by like your 4th or 5th drink in, you're probably about $60 deep, and you're like not even buzzed. And it's not that I'm a functioning alcoholic. It's literally they're skimping you on the alcohol because they're not even making the drinks. They're all pre-mixed.
Really, honestly, that is true because I have done the drinking around the world. I started in Mexico, and I think they do it so you can literally stretch it all the way across to the other side. Because then if you do it correctly, by the time you hit Canada, you have someone pulling you by your ankle.
Hey,
now
George.
Go ahead, buddy.
Oh, no, go ahead. Finish your thoughts, Slimer. I want to bring some up to George after you're done.
I'm good. I was just gonna say, you just get a couple shots of tequila in you in the Mexican pavilion. You don't even have to drink anywhere else. Just drink in the Mexican pavilion. Try to make your way out of the park. Good luck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. Like it was. I mean, I'm glad I did the experience because it was like that whole notion of Epcot drinking around the world. But like just give me a couple shots in Mexico. I'm good.
Oh, what you do have to get though, you absolutely have to get the mules in Moroccan Pavilion. But goddamn, those things are expensive, man. Those are like $18.
Okay. Okay.
Mule.
Wow. Okay.
$18. I think that deserves a money drop. Hold on.
Yeah.
I think that's a money drop. We'll do a little something different this time.
Brand new money, brand new hundreds, got a bunch of zeros like a bag of new Funyuns.
There we go. 18. What I wanted to mention to you while we're on the topic of alcohol, the last show we did, we had a hard out at 2 hours. But our friend Mandy had a great question about what ride. Remember, we were going to answer it in the next.
Yes, we were going to. That's right.
And it relates to this. So I thought, why not do it now? What ride do you like to go on drunk, or what ride is good when you're drunk? So, George, I'll start with you.
I think for me, and each person's different. I mean, there's people that can consume alcohol and go on anything, and they're practically fine. There's people that drink alcohol and they just look at a ride and they get sick.
And there's some rides that you need alcohol to get on.
Exactly. For me,
OG knows all about those.
Oh yeah.
We'll
talk about it.
For me, I absolutely loved. Now, I don't think I've actually gotten fully drunk and rode this, but I was highly buzzed, and I loved going around the People Mover. Just being completely buzzed.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I could also see you being belligerent on the People Mover too, like leaning out, yelling at people.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you should have saw me speaking of. I don't know if I brought this story up, but I did that when I was sober, and it was like
Great.
that the People Mover broke down. It just kept on. It was like start and stop, till eventually they had to get us all out, and they lined us up. Yeah. And we were walking the track to the exit, and where people were looking, people were actually videotaping us. So I'm on YouTube somewhere, and I turn and I was like, "See, now this is the real People Mover," because it was like we were literally moving ourselves, and it was like, "Yeah." So I'm on YouTube somewhere. Whoever posted the video of the People Mover being broken down. That they just lined us up. We were like the seven dwarfs. We actually all started kind of whistling the hi ho. As some person started it in the front, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, this shit's too good. We're gonna keep this going right now."
Yeah,
fans do.
The best ride, like for me personally, like if you're kind of tipsy, you're feeling pretty good. I think it's Radiator Springs Racers because it's just like that kind of like you're cruising. You know, it's just the right amount of speed when you're kind of tipsy. It's the wind's hitting your face. It's just really, really fun. I love that ride when you're tipsy.
I could see that. What about Indiana Jones?
Ooh.
Oh, that one might be a little bit rough there.
A little bumpy, right? A little bumpy.
Yeah.
Now the one that I need in order to get on it is actually the Ferris, the Pixar Pal Around Ferris wheel at DCA.
Okay.
I went on that with you and tour guide Jackie, George, but we were in the stationary ones. But even that one, I was sitting across from Jackie, and I'm like, look, I got to keep my cool. We're in front of tour guide Jackie, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I was internally like screaming, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna talk to Jackie. Just don't look down. so Jackie, you like being a VIP guy? You like this, that, and the other? You know, get my mind off of it. It was stressful.
So wait a minute, OG. Are you saying that this is somewhat of a confession? Are you saying you're guilty?
Oh, I'm guilty.
You're a little guilty?
Yeah. I would say I'm guilty. Hold on.
Guilty.
And that's the beauty of Family Guy. The things go for way longer than they should. It makes it hilarious.
Do you remember how long Homer Simpson and Peter was? It was like, I don't know, record length fight, 17 minutes, 10 minutes, or some shit like that.
And it just kept going and going. And then you think it would stop and it would just start up again.
Yeah.
It's just so good. Or that one where Peter hits his knee.
Yeah.
He's like, for like 10 minutes. Oh, it's hilarious. It's hilarious. Teo here says, so real talk. What's everyone's beef with Pixar Fest? As a Disney World local, I would love more events at our parks more often. Teo, this is my thing, man. And I completely agree with you. The anger and the animosity towards a temporary event is absolutely ridiculous. We talked about this with Danny from Five Fires the other day on the channel. It's really ridiculous. Even if you don't like Pixar Fest, if it's not your cup of tea, it's not your bag of donuts, right? Who cares? It's only gonna be here for 3 months. It doesn't matter. It's temporary. So I don't know what the beef is, to be honest with you. It's weird that people are so angry about something that's only gonna be here for a few months. George, what are your thoughts? What is the beef, man, with Pixar Fest? Why are people so mad?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, I know it got some backlash, from the last time. A lot of people didn't like the fireworks show, but I mean, I'm a huge fan. I'm a component to try something twice. Sometimes it may not go right the first time, but you always got to give something a second run. And who knows, maybe they worked out the kinks. Maybe they're adding a little bit more into the Disneyland park. As I said, they're probably they added more scenes, more characters, more music to the fireworks show that they didn't have the last time. Possibly unique character meet and greets, obviously food and merchandise. I don't know. I'm excited about it. I'm actually going to come out for this at some point during the time of its run. I'm very curious about it. I really don't have, and it's a festival. It's an event. It's temporarily, folks. It's
temporary. Here's the thing. Look at some of these events in the past. Some of these celebrations. When I was a kid, we had the Disney Afternoon Live. Google it. Look at the imagery coming out of Disney Afternoon Live and how ugly the decor was for that event. Or the State Fair thing they did at Disneyland back in like 86 with a giant Ferris wheel on top of the train station. I mean, hideous stuff, but they're temporary celebrations. Pixar Fest, yes, it's ugly. So what? It's only for the summer, right? Obviously, they're trying to promote the new Pixar hotel. I get it. You know what I'm saying? Just enjoy it for what it is. It's here today. It'll be gone by Labor Day. Why are we all stressed out about it? As fans, let's learn to pick our battles a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because I think it's a little bit crazy. Maybe here says, what's a fest or an event you guys would do in the park? George, the Italiano. Would you do Italiano Fest, George?
I was just going to say they should have a Italian Day, because there's an amusement park that's local to me. It's Kennywood Park, and they were notorious for having, in July during the summertime, they would have Italian Day, and a bunch of big Italian families would come and picnic and kind of bring their grills and everything. I mean, it was this huge thing. Like they'd have the Italian colors and what have you. So
The national anthem. The
Yes,
Italian
they
national
had this.
anthem?
Yes, they had that playing.
There you go. Yeah.
So that would be like, I think that'd be kind of cool to have an Italian Day, especially in Epcot, because I
Yeah.
mean, like they showcase a lot of the different cultures and countries, and Italy is one of them. So man, I would love to see an Italian Day.
I would love to see, like we were talking earlier about vintage, like Disney Channel.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they did like an 80s or even 90s Disney Channel fest for like the whole summer, not an upcharge thing though. Like everybody gets in on it, and you can have your character meet and greets with the Dumbo Circus characters or the Pooh Corner, Adventures in Wonderland, right? Like remember the Tweedledee and Tweedledum and all the rappers.
Cool. See, now I enjoyed that. Like I love their kind of rap, like they did with like that was awesome.
Yeah, see, but that kind of stuff would be really, really fun. Like a fun celebration for like the summertime, like the old school Disney Channel thing. I think it would be really, really cool. You know,
yeah.
Even if you want to do like a Disney afternoon event, like what they did with Disney Afternoon Live, but bring it to the modern age, I'd be down for that too. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Undead Nerd here says, while you make decent points about the culture war in the box office, I feel like people are paying attention and blaming Disney more because they are the most loud. So my point with the culture war is I think that it's waning, right? I think the normies don't care as much as the like the fringe elements on both sides, right? And we see evidence of this with like Barbie, which was like deemed like the most woke movie of all time. Leading up to the release of Barbie, I saw so much content out there that Barbie was so woke, and it comes out there, it comes out into theaters, it makes $1 billion. Okay, if people were that wrapped up in not going to woke stuff, Barbie would not have made $1 billion. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Maverick, Top Gun Maverick is much more of a conservative sort of angle in film, right? It did $1 billion. So you have two very different kind of things making a lot of money. That's why I don't think it really matters much. Even the Spider-Verse, I know it's Sony, but the soccer mom doesn't know the Sony Marvel intricacies and that deal. They take their kids to go see Spider-Verse thinking it's a Disney movie.
Exactly.
And they still saw it. So when people come to me and like, well, people are avoiding Disney movies because they're woke. It's like, well, then why did they go to Spider-Verse? Because the soccer mom has no idea about the Sony deal. I'm sorry, they just don't. You know what I'm saying? Why did they go to Barbie? It doesn't make any sense. What are your thoughts, George? What's the deal with the culture war?
Yeah, I feel like it seemed like that was the route that it was going, but I feel like Barbie kind of broke those barriers when, you know, there were talks and rumbles on social media of saying that this is going to be the wokest movie that it was ever, no one's going to, but yet it became $1 billion film,
right.
And it could actually lead the way for more kind of toy brand products to become major motion pictures. And when people think and talk about Barbie now, they just talk it as it is a successful film. They're not saying, well, still how woke it is, So I feel like I just feel like right now it just depends on if it has a good character arc, if it has a good storyline, a good plot, it captivates audiences' attention to go and see, this movie. I think that's where it really counts. And I think the bigger, I don't want to say issue, but the biggest obstacle right now is the streaming. I think once they kind of notify to where how much they place what content at what time for the streaming, I feel like that can kind of signify of how long to keep it in theaters. Yeah. Because when you then put it on streaming too quickly for free, well, yeah, people aren't going to go see it in theaters because they're going to say, hey, I'm already paying an upcharge monthly price. So, I'll just wait till it becomes free.
Yeah, no, the streaming thing is a bigger issue, and it's affecting the whole industry. And box office is down. Seymour Duck, our friend here at Seymour Duck, has talked about it a lot. Theaters there are bright spots, but for the most part, the theater industry is struggling.
And it's not just for Disney; it's like all around with all these studios. Right now.
It is. It's Hollywood in general. Look at the AMC stock. It's on the struggle bus. I've been telling you. And here's the thing: what's going to happen when Disney, right? They're going to make less content for theaters, because remember, they're focusing on quality over quantity. So they're going to be releasing less movies into theaters. They're going to be cutting their budgets, right? And tightening their belt. They'll be fine. But what are the theaters going to do when there's less movies to put in their venues? I'm telling you, theaters are in a world of hurt. Okay, they are in a world of hurt. and it's not going to be pretty. Now, does that mean the theater industry is going to go completely belly up? No, I think there's still a space for them in this whole equation, but I do think that the theater experience is shrinking. Because even right now, most people are only going to event movies: Oppenheimer, Barbie, Mario, Avatar. The smaller movies aren't really, you know what I'm saying? It's just things are changing. They absolutely are changing. BJ Vincent here says, name a non-Disney Network TV series that was canceled and or taken off television too early, and you feel deserves another chance. I have quite a few, but the two I will name is Kings and Firefly. What are your thoughts, George? What's a non-Disney TV series that was canceled, not renewed, that you think that should have got a second chance?
You might have to come back to me on that one.
I'll tell you one for me, but actually, it's kind of like a redemption story. But Family Guy is one of my favorite shows of all time. I love Family Guy. I could sit and binge watch Family Guy all day long, and I would lose track of the day. I think it's hilarious. I absolutely think it's hilarious. Fun fact: it was actually canceled by Fox pretty early on in its run.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was canceled, and then it ended up doing really well. I think like on YouTube or something like that. I don't really remember the details of it, but there was a big kind of like fervor for this show to bring it back, and Fox did. And now it's been running a long time. I mean, Family Guy has run longer than a lot of live action sitcoms and things like that. So that was the one that it was the one that got canceled, but they did the right thing and they brought it back. And
I got one. I got one. Okay, this is a live action sitcom. I was a huge fan of the show Mike and Molly. Okay. And I felt like that show ended very shortly, abruptly, right when it was like picking up. I know that there was some issues along with that show due to the fact of between the actors and the production and the producers and the creator and everything, due to the sensitive subject of body stature when it came to the actors of the show, Billy Cardell and
like fat
Billy
shaming.
Well, it was actually the opposite. It was because at the time Melissa McCarthy was losing weight.
Oh, okay.
And they felt that her character was more better as being thicker.
Right. So
it was kind of going back and forth, and they just couldn't come to terms of agreement, and they never renewed. But I thought the show, which was a shame, because I think whether or not that Melissa McCarthy would have stayed the weight she was, or if she had lost the weight, it's still her. She still put on a brilliant performance as the character that she portrayed. And as I said, I love the show, and I think it ended on a short note, unfortunately.
What about you, Slimer? Well, any shows that were taken off too early that you would like to see come back?
Yeah. So I'd like to see. They're actually animated. I'd like to see Silverhawks come back. That was actually. So Silverhawks, strangely enough, like for as much as people remember it, it was only around for a season, but it was a really cool concept. I mean, had one of the best openings out of any of the cartoons in the 80s, period. And I'm pretty sure all these cartoons came out of the same studio, by the way. I mean, the animation is so similar. Yeah. They're all drawn in Japan too, by the way. Ghostbusters, Transformers, Silverhawks, most of them were Japanese artists. But yeah, I'd like to see that. Extreme Ghostbusters was only actually, I think it was like 3 months it was around. So that one was cut too short. Yeah, but that was done by the same animators that were doing the 1997 Men in Black cartoon. So it was Men in Black was in 1997, and anything that tried to challenge Men in Black died a dog's death. I mean, Men in Black was huge, and Ghostbusters couldn't even get a resurrection based off of the popularity of that movie / animation. But as far as live, I don't know.
But before you continue on, Slimer, I just have to say the position you're sitting in right now, it correlates so well with the bottom part of Spider-Man.
Oh yeah,
it fits so well. Yeah,
like your arm, matched. Yeah. like your arm was like in sync with Spider-Man's arm. It was perfect. You're absolutely right. No, but Slimer's great because we're basically like around the same age, and Silverhawks was awesome. I used to have the toys for that. Used to love that. Thundercats was another good one.
Yeah.
but you're right. A lot of those were out of Japan, you know, like our generation.
Yeah.
I even remember, and maybe you remember Slimer, but do you remember a Dennis the Menace cartoon that was kind of drawn in Japanese style?
Yeah.
Back then, there was a lot of stuff, man. And that was a great time to be a kid. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, it's funny because, you know, I remember watching, you know, older manga like Fist of the North Star, and I would go, man, that looks eerily like a lot of the American cartoons that I would watch, like whether it was Lone Star or Mask, or you're just like, are these drawn by the same person? Then I started doing some research, and sure as shit, they're all drawn in Japan. Everything was outsourced there in terms of animation. You know, they probably had the illustrators over here, maybe not. I think they were all illustrated over there too. And then you would have the voice actors, the American voice actors, doing all the voiceovers.
I do remember those animated series based off of like the movies, like The Mask and Men in Black, Jumanji. That went on for like a season. Ghostbusters.
It was a big deal. That was like the thing that the studios did back in the 90s. They based animations off of the popular movies. That's not such a thing now anymore. Like, you don't see cartoons based off of Fast and the Furious or what are some other live action properties that you know? You know what else they had a live action? What is it? They had animated Rambo. They had animated RoboCop. They had a cartoon RoboCop.
Crazy.
Like first and foremost, why are you letting your kids watch RoboCop?
Right, exactly.
Or Rambo.
They were doing animated everything back then. Absolutely everything back then. It was crazy. Yeah, I remember like I was real big into like He-Man. I was even into like She-Ra. I watched She-Ra. I mean, there was so much good stuff back then, dude. Even Care Bears. I would dip into Care Bears. I was cool with all of it. Now, there was an animated show recently that I think got like kind of shafted. It was the DuckTales reboot in 2017. It went on for like 3 or 4 seasons, but that was actually a really good reboot. Like, that was like a textbook example of how you reboot like correctly. That was a perfect mix of like new enough where it offered something different than the original, but nostalgic enough where it was like, okay, this is still DuckTales. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, I'm sorry, Slimer, how you're sitting. That is like so freaking trippy right now. That's great.
Dude, like literally your arm is like right in line with Spider-Man's arm. Awesome. Yeah, I'll go back. I'll screenshot. I'll send it to you. Kaylee here says, Kaylee with 2 E's says here, your favorite Mickey Mouse short. This is an easy one, Kaylee. My favorite Mickey Mouse short is actually kind of taboo. I don't even think you can find it anymore. I don't think you can, at least, but Runaway Brain. I thought that was amazing. That was a 90s era Mickey Mouse short. It was a little edgy. The animation, it was like perfect animation. Like, it was so like, it was like the peak Mickey Mouse animation. It was so good. Love that short. I don't think it's on Disney Plus. But really good stuff. What about you, George? Favorite Mickey Mouse short?
Favorite Mickey Mouse. Okay, so if we're kind of going classic, like something that kind of stands out for me, I would have to say probably the band concert.
Okay.
Probably the band concert, because I don't know. I love the music. I actually love that style of Mickey. You don't really, even like throughout the whole entire set, like of the Mickey Mouse shorts, you don't really see him too much in that style. You have like the band concert, the Brave Little Tailor. He kind of has that look. But the band concert's one of my all-time favorites because I also love the Silly Symphony swings. Call Me Crazy up at DCA. I love that the score that they play when you're on the swing. So it's like, yeah, it's definitely the band concert for me.
All right. What about you, Slimer?
I'm a big fan of Lonesome Ghost, and I like the Christmas Carol.
Oh, Christmas Carol. That's a good one, dude. That one is actually, that will get you right in the feels, bro. That one is like, it's crazy emotional. I do have to give a shout out to Plain Crazy just because he's rocking the same hair that I have, so I'm a little partial to that. You know what I'm saying? How do you not love it, right?
He looks a lot like Walt in that picture, doesn't he? Doesn't he look like a young Walt?
Yeah, he does. That's the thing about Mickey back then. Like, he really had a lot of personality back then. And for a while, he became just a corporate icon, which is sad to see. But back then he was a feisty little guy, man. He was cool, you know. And that's the other thing too that I think is pretty cool with Disney now is that they are trying to get him away just from a corporate icon with these new Mickey shorts that they're doing, the Paul Ruddish cartoons. Look, I'm not a huge fan of those shorts. I mean, they're cool. They have some cool nerdy Easter eggs in there and stuff. But like, I think that's kind of cool to kind of bring the personality back to Mickey. He's not just the corporate mascot for the company. He's actually a character with a personality. So I think that was really a cool thing from the kind of insert back in, because for a while there we were losing part of that.
OG, I'm a really big fan of these cartoons. I love them.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, the new ones. Yeah, the new Mickey Mouse shirts. Yeah, I love them. I think they're
nice, dude. Nice. Now, are they still? Because it's been running for a while, right? Like a decade now or something. These.
Yeah.
Nice.
Are they making any new ones, or are they?
I don't know.
Are they done? I haven't seen any new ones.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, when I say I'm not a huge fan, I'm in the minority, because like Slimer, he loves them. And it obviously those shorts are doing like amazing business for the mouse, because they created a whole e-ticket off of it with One Ray Railway, and obviously the merch and those cartoons must be pulling numbers, because it seems like it's everywhere. It seems like it's absolutely everywhere. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Let me see here. We have Mr. Jason Hill. Wish will be released on digital on January 23rd, about 60 days after its theatrical release. Why spend the money to take a family to the theater when we can just wait 10 weeks and see it at home?
That's the issue, that why they aren't making money in the theaters.
That's the sticking point right there. That's exactly what it is, Jason, and that's why they're having trouble. If there wasn't that promise to have it soon, but what do you do though? Like, how do you fix that? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you fix that? Do you just abandon streaming altogether? Like, what do you do? You know, it is a dilemma. I think the only thing right now that's really doing numbers in theaters are like these sure bets. You know, you put Super Mario in the theater, it's going to do well. Kids are going to go see it.
I was gonna say, I thought you said sherbet. I was gonna say, I love me some orange sherbet.
George, you just ate. You can't be hungry already.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. What about you, Cyber? What's going on? Like, I mean, 60 days after the fact. I mean, like, why take your kids to the theaters? You know, if you have a family of 4, a family of 5, the theaters are expensive. I mean, you're talking $100 just to get in the door.
As far as whether it's worth it or not to take the family to the movie theater to go see a movie like that, I mean, that's really going to be up to you. The family's going to be dependent on what your expendable income is. So, what I can afford and what you can afford and what, John and Jane can afford are going to be totally different. So I think what the studios are missing though is a concept called pleasure delaying. If you wanted to see a movie on VHS or DVD back in the 80s and the 90s, that was part of the game, right? A movie came out in the theater and you used to have to wait a year, 9 months. I remember waiting a year for Back to the Future to come out on VHS. And then when you bought it, it was like $29.99 on sale. You're talking about like a VHS tape. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, Jason Hill, if you're really interested in that kind of stuff, in that topic, watch a video that Chris Stuckman recently did on why physical media is important, because he actually breaks down how much studios lose in terms of physical media. They're losing upwards of, obviously it depends on the film, but for example, when Infinity War or Endgame, I can't remember which one, when it came out on DVD, Blu-ray, it made $120 million just on a physical media release. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of back-end revenue right there. So by going straight to streaming, they are literally nuking all that potential revenue. And what that's going to do is the studios are going to limit which movies they make based off of how people are, the purchasing habits of people when it comes to whether they're going to just, watch them on their streaming subscription or whether they're going to go out and actually buy, the actual physical box. So really, yeah, Chris Stuckman just released it a couple days ago. If you just go to his YouTube channel, it's the first video that pops up. But if you actually, I know, OG, you like physical stuff. You got a whole bookshelf. You got toys back there. Do you still buy Blu-rays, DVDs? Is that something you're into?
Yeah, I do. If it's something that I really, really love, like I'm picky though,
Right.
But like it's something like I'll get like all the Star Wars movies just to have them.
Yeah.
Things like
Yeah.
that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like, and I'll update them too. Like, when I had the DVDs, I upgraded to like the Blu-rays and things like that. But
Blackpink, Deep in Touch, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I got them on here, But yeah, I mean, I do like physical media, and it's important because if you rely on everything on the streaming services, we're seeing with the streaming services like Netflix and Disney Plus, especially with HBO Max. They can take things off of those platforms in a heartbeat. Like your favorite show can be gone tomorrow. You just, So,
and also too that if you rely 100%. On just the streaming service, there are certain movies that are case sensitive nowadays. So on a streaming service, a company can remove certain elements or scenes that can be a probability factor. Where if you buy problematic, excuse me. But if you buy the DVD or the Blu-ray, then you get its full entirety of the film. Especially if you buy it from at the time before like any of this notion, like such as Dumbo, for instance. That's one of the movies that I believe they altered on Disney Plus.
Right.
We should do a story with Jay Scherer on physical media, because I feel like that's such a relevant topic now, especially with the way things are going with streaming. But I think that it's going to make a comeback. I think that it needs to die though before it gets resurrected. And right now, physical media is dying. Best Buy just took out the entire physical media department out of all of their Best Buys. Are in the process of doing it, and they're the place you used to go for physical media. Remember when you used to walk into Best Buy and like the entire front section of the store was nothing but movies and music, and you just walked around. Oh, hey, what's this? So I think it needs to die before it gets resurrected. But I do think that physical media is going to come back in a big way. The same that vinyl has come back in a big way.
That's where I bought all of my treasures from the Walt Disney collection.
Oh yeah,
those right, because Best Buy does have a really good Walt Disney collection. Yeah.
And Best Buy is interesting because those locations are like physically very big, and I have a feeling they're gonna be shutting down a lot of stores. I think, and downsizing some of these. I think we're gonna see Best Buy maybe not go out of business completely, which I'm not even taking that off the table. That's a possibility. Best Buy just goes out completely. But I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of get rid of their standalone mega stores, the ones that they have now that are massive, and just sort of occupy smaller spaces like in malls and what have you.
And I think it's so funny how all these type of outlets were all successful where one never cannibalized the other. For instance, you had movie theaters that people went to go see movies. You had Blockbuster Video where you can go and rent the movie. But even though you can go and rent the movie, it still never hindered the theater, and the theater never hindered Blockbuster. It's like they all had their own.
I just think it's too.
Entirety.
I think it's too easy now.
Yeah,
like, I can go on my phone.
It's handed to us. It's handed to us like right on a silver platter.
Well, it's easy because you can just go on there and you just click on whatever you want, right? Like Blockbuster, you still had to physically go somewhere to pick it up. This is all in your hand. Also, I think there's a lot more competition. Like with YouTube, right? Like we have our YouTube channel that takes eyeballs away from the legacy media and things like that, and
absolutely
more options. You
can't get me to sit down and watch a movie. I might sit down and watch a movie 3 or 4 times out of the year, whereas before I used to go to the movie theater 3 or 4 times in a month. Now, YouTube is such a big component of what I consume now. It's probably like you guys.
Okay,
80 to 90% of what you watch is YouTube now.
So let me ask you, Slimer, what was the last movie you watched in its full and when?
The last movie I watched was Wonka. Remember?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Wonka, and then before that was The Haunted Mansion, and then before that, shit, I don't even remember. I don't even remember, man. So maybe Infinity War, maybe Ghostbusters Afterlife. Something that probably came out in like 2020, 2021.
So Wonka, The Haunted Mansion, shit I don't even remember, Infinity War.
Yeah.
Well,
what was yours, OG?
Oppenheimer. I saw Oppenheimer. That was
Oppenheimer.
The one before. Yeah.
That was my
that yours,
one.
OG? That was yours when we went. Yeah.
And that was back in like August, dude. Like I haven't been to the theater, and I think that was my last one. I'm pretty sure it was actually.
Yeah, I don't remember you mentioning anything after Oppenheimer.
Yeah, that was it.
I think there's a calculus that a lot of people do nowadays where they go, does the price of a ticket plus, popcorn and drinks, is that better than what I can do in my home with a 65 or 75 or 85 inch 4K
Right.
TV? You know what I mean? And if the juice isn't worth the squeeze, they don't even go.
Exactly. I like that. If the juice ain't worth the squeeze, that's perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
On brand. I'll close up with Universal should release Marvel and The Simpsons and go full WB. Ooh, dude. Like, seriously, I'm down for that. That would get me, that would get me so hyped for Universal. I love the Warner Brothers IP, man. If Universal could dip into like an Animaniacs, like Dark Ride or something like, oh my God, man. It would be epic. It would be amazing.
The centerpiece could be the water tower of the Warner Brothers, but it'd be designed like the Animaniacs with the yellow and the red.
I'm telling you, dude, they have such great IP. It's so underutilized, right?
Yeah.
You can build a Tasmania land or something. You can do like the Tiny Toons, another great property they have. There's just so much Warner can do. Yeah, man. Well, and that's the thing too, Drunk, is that Warner, they're kind of struggling right now, and there's been rumors, a lot of rumors from the Hollywood trades and what have you, that Zazzie's looking to sell Warner Brothers to like a Comcast Universal. Now, if that happens, if Universal snatches up these properties, from Warner, that would be an absolute game changer for Universal. I think that would make Disney crap their pants. I've been saying this for the longest time. If Universal gets their hands on the Warner Brothers IP, like the Looney Tunes, the Animaniacs, all that, the DC stuff, Disney will crap their pants, because that would elevate Universal's IP game out of control through the roof. And that's what they need. Universal rents a lot of properties, right? Like all the big stuff at the Universal parks are stuff that they don't own. So it's like Super Mario, they don't own it. Harry Potter, they don't own it. If they bought Warner Brothers, they would have a massive roster of highly legendary, highly popular IP. Mm-hmm. It would be a game changer. What do you think about that, George?
Yeah, I mean, I do love the Warner Brothers IPs. I grew up with them, watching Tiny Toons and Animaniacs and just the traditional Looney Tunes. And I've been wanting Universal to release the full rights for Marvel. I said it yesterday that for an idea of mine to even, relinquish the rights of Marvel over to Disney, where Disney could then do what they want to do with Marvel and what have you. It frees up the land over at Islands of Adventure. They could have done possibly Pokemon, or as Drunk had mentioned with Warner Brothers. I think it would benefit both of the companies, because right now they're kind of like keeping it for one reason, not doing anything with it, and it's like because they can't really do too much with it, and it's just at a complete standstill. So it's like someone can like break the ice here. Right. That would really be great.
Yeah, absolutely. BJ Vincent, as callous as this may sound, I know people may complain more about Disney parks over Universal. Could it be more of a situation that just do not care about what happens at Universal, but they love Disney? That's definitely an element here for sure. I think there's a lot more. I think people are much more wrapped up, like nostalgia wise, with Disney. Mm-hmm. There's a lot more emotion wrapped up in the Disney company than Universal.
And there are people who are out there that do believe that. They do love Disney so much that, they're more of a harsher critic than Universal. But there is still a fine line between those people and the anti-Disney people. Right,
100%. Well said. Kiki and Luca here with the great questions. Okay, George. Which Disney princess would you marry, kill, or fuck? So I need 3 Disney princesses. Who would you marry? Who would you marry?
I would marry Tiana, and I'm saying this with the utmost respect, because she is such a good cook. At least I know that my stomach could be full every day after a long day's hard work. I can come home to some good old fashioned jambalaya or gumbo. Like that would be best way, right to a man's stomach. I would marry Tiana. Who I would want to kill. Now down below, they say kiss. So is that?
Oh, does that mean instead of kill, do they mean kiss?
I think maybe.
Yeah, so instead of kill, I think it's kiss. So who would you kiss?
Because honestly, I don't think there's really any one of them that I would want to kill. You know.
Right.
Yeah. So let's save that for the villains.
Yeah.
Kiss. Okay. I'd say Rapunzel. I think Rapunzel would be, you know, she's cute, she's bubbly, she's fun. You know, I wouldn't mind giving her a little peck on the lips here or there.
And then who would you fuck, George?
Oh, Aurora, because half of my work's already done. She's already in the bed.
Oh,
Okay, no.
jeez, George.
I'm playing. I'm kidding. No, who I would would be probably Jasmine. Because again, she was like she's still my favorite Disney princess, you know. And as I said, I love Jasmine's singing voice. And A Whole New World is my all-time favorite Disney song. So the fact that Jasmine is part of my all-time favorite, so I would probably that would get me off on a high. And I can't believe I'm saying that about a cartoon animated female. But yeah, that's who it would be. I'd marry Tiana, kiss Rapunzel, and fuck Jasmine.
Oh man, crazy stuff. Okay, so I would
Your
marry...
turn, OG.
Yeah, this is a tough one, dude. And it has to be a Disney princess, huh? Because I mean, you know, I don't know. Oh God, Mary. Who would I marry? You know, who's the princess from that Enchanted movie?
Oh, Giselle.
Yeah, I think I'd marry Giselle. I think she's fun. Okay, I'd marry Giselle. Who would I?
You get
kiss?
A little tie that it's Amy Adams too, so you get a
That's
little
what I'm
twofer.
saying.
You get a little twofer there, OG.
That's what I'm saying. Who would I kiss? Okay, I'm gonna go live action again. I would kiss the live action Princess Jasmine, Naomi Scott.
Oh shit! Now why didn't I think of that shit, man?
Naomi Scott, man. Naomi Scott,
man. Like, oh man, I watched her like on Lemonade Mouth. Whoever watches the Disney Channel original movies,
Yeah.
And she was like just coming out, and then seeing her as Princess Jasmine. Damn, bro, why didn't I think of that? I'm thinking like shit. Okay, so who's your spark plug?
Oh man. Dang it, I don't even know. Is Jessica Rabbit? Is she a princess? No. I'm just kidding. I don't even know, man. You know what? I'm gonna go Naomi Scott again. Fuck it.
You know what? I said I'd still fuck Jasmine, so I'm just gonna put that as a little bit of an ad. It's the live action Jasmine.
There we go.